Today's talk is entitled the IPCC Recent Climate Report, and it will enter my More Science Mythology playlist. So what we have is the International Climate Panel. They've just recently decided that they're 95% or even 96% certain that it's humans that are causing the planet to heat up. And so I have to offer an alternative to that. I'll call it the Idiot's Guide to the Warming and Cooling Cycles. It's just an untrained man who spent 20 years studying what I class as the orb bar wave creation particle or creation process, and it will explain many phenomena. And global warming and cooling, or magnetic warming and cooling, are part of what I was predicting as the Nant-Taro effect. I don't want to go into that, but I'll start to try and explain what is an idiot's guide to the warming and cooling. In industry, we use a process called magnetic cooling. It's where, and in this image I'll just try and explain it, the lighter grey image is representative of a particle which is accelerated over a magnetic field, and you will notice that it turns bluer to represent that it's gone cold. Obviously at the center you get heat irradiation. We have manufactured refrigeration units using magnetic cooling in industry for years. So if the Earth behaves as products that we as humans can manufacture, if there is this effect, we would expect, if the upper atmosphere cools, the core should heat up. So to test this theory out, we should, if the magnetic cooling theory is correct, we should see the seas melting, or the glaciers melting from the bottom up, which is counterintuitive to what we are told. And of course, Antarctic. In the Antarctic, the ice sheets are melting from the bottom up. Ice sheets lose more mass where the ice meets the sea than previously thought. So it's the sea that's causing these to melt. So that's their excuse. I predicted that this magnetic cooling would cause the core of the Earth to warm up. It's part of the magnetic cooling theory. So we have a look at the other pole, where the glaciers are, and Greenland's glaciers are disappearing from the bottom up also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a picture of Greenland, and I think it's pretty obvious that that is not floating on the sea. That is on land, and it's still melting. So the one excuse they'll give you is the warm sea warming it up, and you could have a coastal effect from the Gulf Stream. So we could say that note the bullshit, really. Anyway, we know that heat rises, so the bottom of the ocean should be the coolest, and yet methane is seeping out of the Arctic seabed. As temperatures rise, the seabed grows warmer. So this again proves the magnetic theory, which is the irradiated heat caused by particles over the Earth's magnetic field above the Earth. That's what you would expect to see. The seabeds rising in temperature, the land rising in temperature. You would even explain more volcanic and earthquakes, because there's more heat and energy in the core of the Earth from this magnetic cooling theory. And have we seen any more earthquakes? Well, yeah, we have, but let's ignore that. So let's go back to this magnetic cooling. We have the Earth at the centre. We have the heat irradiating out from its core, cooling and melting the glaciers from underneath. So what we need now is we need some sort of particle accelerator above the Earth. We need particles to be hitting those magnetic fields to cause this radiated heat from the core and the cooling from the upper atmosphere. So do we see this? Can my theory be proved? Well, scientists only, in the 26th of July, announced that there's a particle accelerator above the Earth in the Van Allen belts, the magnetic field. So we have a particle accelerator, an electron accelerator. So as these electrons move around the magnetic field, they're causing a radiated heat at the core. Simple. Wake up. So, where are these particles coming from? If the sun is in minimum now and there's no very low solar activity, where's it coming from? It's coming from the place that I predicted years and years ago, and I call it the Orr-Bar wave Nant-Taro effect. Now this is going to confuse people, so I'm not even really going to talk about it, but recently Voyager, at the edge of space, discovered the magnetic highways that stream high energy particles into our solar system, and it streams low energy particles out of our solar system. And that's a video by NASA. Voyager is riding on the magnetic highway, and I'm going to do another video of why probes in space accelerate. It's not gravity, it's magnetic highways. But these particles now are streaming into our solar system because everything is weakened, and they are hitting our magnetic field, and then we get magnetic cooling. So if we have a magnetic cooling in our upper atmosphere and irradiated heat from the core, we've obviously seen the evidence that the ice shelf and the bottom of the oceans are warming. We then, to prove the theory, need to find our upper atmosphere cooling. Now, do we think it's going to happen, folks? And the answer is, a record collapse of the Earth's upper atmosphere puzzles scientists. Now, this is a 2010 article. The collapse occurred during a period of relative solar inactivity, which is again the solar minimum I've been predicting, called a solar minimum from 2006 to 2009. These minimums are known to cool and contract the thermosphere, so our atmosphere has been pressurized, thus it's created a cooling effect. These minimums are known to cool and contract the thermosphere. However, the recent collapse was 2 to 3 times greater than low solar activity could explain. Something is going on we don't understand. Yes, exactly. The particles that are streaming in from outside our solar system, because we have a weak heliosphere, which is the magnetic bubble that surrounds the solar system, rather than the Van Allen belt, which is the magnetic field of the Earth itself, is causing a cooling effect. So, do we have any evidence that any other evidence that our upper atmosphere is cooling? Well, you would expect the highest altitude glaciers to be increasing. Wow. As if by magic, they are. So we have a heat conversion system where particles are accelerated over a magnetic field, the magnetic bubble of the Earth. The particles are streaming in because the sun is in minimum. These accelerated particles cause high altitude cooling, and they cause irradiated heat from the core of the planet. Wake up. Smell the coffee. Tell the truth and shame the devil, you climatologists. This is all generated from the Orr-Bar wave theory of the creation. This video will be placed in my science mythology section on my channel. Thank you very much for listening. I'm amazed they get away with it. Cheers. Bye-bye.